Hello again. Okay, now we're going to focus on the first part of your turn. You can either build or buy, or you can transport product, or you can sell products. So you have to choose one of those. So let's focus on the build and buy. What are the things you can spend your money on? First up, you can spend your money on your product. So each of these cubes, as I mentioned earlier, is 1 metric ton of cocaine. Okay? The prices are over here. So you buy or sell based on, in your zone, whatever the price is. Okay, so if I wanted to buy that in Peru, I have 1 cube, 1 metric ton. Look, in Peru, I'd be spending 5 million to buy that there. Okay? So the price is there. If I later move a product, like we had this down in Bolivia, where we said we bought it for 2.5 million times 4 cubes, 4 tons, 10 million. We eventually moved it up, 1, 2, 3, into Southwest, where we can sell it for 80 million. All right? So you can buy cubes. That's one thing you can buy. These cells, each player starts with 10. Okay, so these cells, basically they represent your team of people that you dispatch to an area to set up to run your operations in that area. So it's everything from your trafficking operations, moving the cocaine, etc., to bribing local officials, conducting blackmail operations. They're your security, and they're also your trafficking apparatus. All right, so you start with 10 of those cells. Each round, you're going to deploy 1 cell. So you're eventually going to get, after 10 turns, you're going to have to buy more. These are 5 million each. Okay? So cells cost 5 million each. You absolutely need them because you cannot buy, you cannot transport, and you cannot sell unless your product's on a cell. Okay? So in order for Red to buy in Bolivia, they need a cell in Bolivia. If they don't have a cell there, they can't buy there. If they buy it there and they want to move it north, they have to get through Peru first. So when you're transporting, you can only go to each adjacent zone. So if they want to move through Peru, they need to have a cell there. Okay, so cells are really important. They're 5 million each. Okay, so you can buy product, you can buy cells. The other things you're going to want to buy is you're going to want to build your smuggling infrastructure. This influences how fast you can move your product. Okay, so let's say Red is at level 1. That means when they transport product, they can only move 1 step, 1 movement unit. So they could take that shipment of 4 tons and move it 1. That's all they would be able to move for that turn. If they were level 3, for example, they could go 1, 2, 3. All right? So you want to, as quickly as you can, get your smuggling infrastructure level higher. And that costs 20 million per level. All right? So you can buy as many levels as you can afford. Once you get up to 10, if you get into the teens, you just show that by using cubes. Notice I'm using the product cubes for these. Obviously, when they're on the board, they're your product. Here, they're just an indicator. So we're going to use them over here, and we'll use them over here for political influence. I'll show you that in a moment. So let's say you were level 12. Well, you would show 10 and 2. If you got up to like level 22, that would be 2 on the 10s, 1 on the 2. Okay? Typically, you're not going to get above 20, but occasionally players do. All right, so that's smuggling infrastructure. You're going to want to buy that so you can move your product faster. The other thing you're going to want to buy is political influence. Okay? And that comes in very handy, particularly later in the game when you're moving your product, because these task force chips here are basically what you use to run an interdiction action. All right? You get these task force chips whenever you buy political influence. So it's looking over here at this panel. We have our list of list of zones, and we see that for each one we have 3 spots for political influence. Each political influence asset costs 20 million. All right? So if Red wanted to buy political influence in Bolivia, where it's buying shipments from, that would make sense. It puts a cube there. It costs 20 million to the bank. Red puts a cube there, and then they get a task force chip. So whenever you buy political influence, it's sort of two things are happening. You're getting influence here, which is going to be used to defend your shipment, and you're getting a task force chip, which then can be used to try to seize a shipment from your opponent. Okay? There's only 3 in each zone. When they're bought up, that's it. You can't buy more. Okay, what political influence gives you is it makes it easier to defend your shipment against an interdiction. So, one of the things I mentioned, and I'll get into the nitty-gritty later of how this works, but if you want to, or if an opponent is putting a task force interdiction action on one of your shipments, let's say Red had one here in Peru, and let's say Black decided, oh, I'm going to put an interdiction action in Peru to try to seize that shipment. So we'd look down on this table and we'd see, oh, a shipment of 4 metric tons. That's going to be seized on a roll of 2 to 6. So you'd roll 2 6-sided dice. Oh, in this case it's 10, so it's safe anyway. But let's say I rolled a 6. If I rolled a 6, that would be seized. It would be taken off the board. But Red has 1 political influence here. So that's going to help defend it. Adds 1 to the roll. Okay, so that turns that 6 into a 7, which is outside the range, so this would be safe. Okay, so that's political influence. Each one costs 20 million. You also get a task force chip. By the way, each player starts with a task force chip. So they're in limited supply. And once they're used, so once this one that Black played is used, at the end of that turn, it's taken off the board. Okay? Taken off the board, actually, and put away. It's out of the game. All right? So these are in limited supply. Okay, so you can buy cells, you can buy product, you can buy smuggling infrastructure levels to move your product faster, and you can buy political influence to basically defend your shipments. That's all you need to buy.